Selectmen's meeting January 2nd, 6 p.m. at the Rutland Public Library. Will you please stand and pledge allegiance
Hi,
to
Mike.
the
I'm
flag?
putting you on speaker.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Motion to sign Treasury Warrant 14 payroll.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Accept minutes from December 18th.
Motion to accept December 18th as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
For the public's information, the board's information, Selectman Mike Pantos is participating remotely.
First on the agenda is the Chief Monaco department updates and promotion and recommendations.
Good evening, everybody.
Would
I'll
you
start off
please-
with the-
Please introduce yourself to the cameras.
Sorry, Chief Nicholas Monaco, Police Department. So we got a lot going on. First thing is we just obtained the live scan fingerprint machine. It's a digital fingerprint machine that you take fingerprints on with a computer. You can get instant record check results, and the firearms application process should be really sped up with this. This was obtained through a grant that Chief Apikoski had put in for before he retired. I've also put out to all the neighboring departments they're welcome to come by and use it whenever they'd like to. We're making efforts to reconnect with the town's senior citizen population. A couple of weeks ago, I went down to the community center, participated in Muffin Monday with a bunch of the seniors, had a good time there. January 11th, Dominic Walker is organizing a senior luncheon, also at the community center. So if anybody would like to come, you're welcome to. Working on relations with the Devereux School. At the end of this month, we're going to start sending officers from the evening shift up there to go to the basketball games and just visit with the kids and hang out. We've also been doing some training with them. They organized a autism awareness training, and next coming up is some de-escalation training that they're inviting us to. Police department was heavily involved in the holiday. A bunch of officers attended the tree lighting and helped out at the Festival of the Trees. They helped out with the fire department's Santa Claus event, and the Sergeants Union actually donated some gift cards that were handed out during traffic stops on Christmas Eve. Regarding the schools, officers being visible in the school zones every day. They're following the bus routes. One of my officers has been doing a great job getting out, doing some foot patrols in the school zone, and they're also going inside the schools and visiting the kids, too. We're getting some compliments about that. A couple weeks ago, we participated in the 16th annual Guns for Goods program. It's organized by UMass Memorial. They do a whole region-wide gun take-back program, and I think we got about 9 guns out of it that we're able to take in and send off to the state police for destruction. RAD class, Diane Herzig just taught another RAD class with full enrollment. Every time she does it, the program fills up. And also, Officer D'Souza, one of our new officers, she's certified too, so next time around she'll probably be teaching as well. Regarding the firearms that we're purchasing from the special town meeting, they've been ordered. We're just waiting for them to come in. All the holsters and ammunition are already here. Our firearms instructor, Matt Finucci, will start bringing people to the range and qualifying people as soon as they get here. And the Sportsman's Club's been good enough to offer us the use of their range, both indoor and outdoor, so we can qualify there. Police cruisers, Car 3 and Car 4, I'm sure you're aware, both had blown motors that we had to send off to Sunnyside Ford, and they're both repaired and back in service. So the fleet's fully operational. Every car's in service, and Officer Sanji's doing a good job keeping up on the maintenance and making sure everything's attended to. I'll give you some rough end-of-the-year numbers for 2017. 2017 ended with 137 arrests, 115 criminal summonses, 698 incident reports completed, 152 traffic crashes, and 679 citations issued. And we got some personnel updates. Both newly hired full-time officers, Matt Finuccio and Officer D'Souza, they've both completed their field training. They're settling in very well and doing a great job. The 2 finalists for the 2 new positions that they're currently undergoing background checks and are scheduled for psych screenings. I expect one to start on January 21st and the other to start on February 4th. And pending the sergeant's promotion, I'll be able to assign an officer as detective. Once we're fully staffed, the detective will be able to really follow up on cases better than ever before and really get proactive working on stuff, especially drug stuff around town. Overall, things are going very well in the department. Everybody's doing their job. They're all getting along well together. Morale is high, and people are motivated. We have some new faces and some old faces, but it's feels like it's a totally new department with a new attitude. So things are going well. Any questions on that stuff?
With the schools, Nick, are you being proactively notified when they're having big events? I know I happen to drive through town on the big Naquag
Yes.
concert days, which it's like the whole town is there, and yet we know it's not the whole town.
They did. Both schools told us about their holiday concert dates, and we got out there and tried to help as best we could, but there's just so many
Yeah.
cars. It may need to sit down next year and figure out a whole new traffic plan. But it's really nowhere to put them.
Right.
So unless we shuttle people to the school, but
Oh dear.
yeah, I don't think that would go over very well. Next thing we get is the recommendation for the sergeant's promotion, and it's my recommendation that we promote Detective Diane Herzig to the rank of sergeant. Shortly before I was promoted, I initiated a promotional process. It consisted of an exam from a private vendor and interviews from outside interview panel, independent interview panel. And Diane was the front runner in that process. Detective Herzig has been involved in law enforcement for 9 years, 7 of those with the Rutland Police Department. She's heavily involved in community events, has performed several assignments, and they've helped develop her into an experienced and well-respected officer. Throughout her career, Officer Detective Herzig has demonstrated a strong leadership ability. During her academy training, she was the class platoon leader. At the police department, she's been involved in the training of new officers. She served as president of the Patrolmen's Union most recently, and she's organized and directed the Police Association's first annual Halloween road race. Upon my promotion to chief, Detective Herzig was assigned as the acting sergeant on the midnight shift, and I'm happy to report that she's been doing an excellent job in that capacity. And as somebody personally who was just recently a sergeant, I know what it takes to be successful in that position, and I'm fully confident that she could do it. She has the respect of everybody on the department. Furthermore, I've sat down with both other sergeants. They both back my decision, and they're ready to take her on the supervisory team.
The board has the recommendation in writing in your agenda packets.
So I need a motion to approve or not to approve.
Make a motion to approve the sergeant promotion recommendation of Diane Herzig to the position of sergeant as recommended by Chief Nick Monaco. Thank you for that letter, by the way. The one you just read was the same one we received about a week ago.
Yes.
It was great. Thank you.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? No. So it's 2 and 2. So I'm sorry to say that it's a no-go.
All right, we'll move on from here. Thank you.
Thank you. And then,
Excuse me. Point of order.
yeah,
There
what,
was no request for a discussion, nor did anybody make a statement that this would be anything other than a pro forma
We
ratification
do
of a
not-
recommendation by a chief.
was it a yes or no? And it's no. As far
I
as
would
I'm
appreciate
concerned.
reasons from the nose. We had a recommendation. We sit here
Sheila,
all
you do not want to make this a public,
I absolutely want to make this public.
well, I'm sorry that I don't think it's proper.
I don't see how it couldn't be proper, unless you believe it's something in executive session, which should have been handled in executive session prior to this. This has been on the agenda, and it is interesting to see how in many cases, the argument for, well, this was recommended, is what carries the day.
Yep.
And somehow today, with absolutely no statements, it has failed on a 2-2 board, where we have a member gone.
You want to voice anything, Michael?
I'll be more than glad to let Sheila know and then the other board members that I received the chief's recommendation. I sat down with him and had a conversation with him on Friday morning at length and shared my thoughts. And those thoughts do revolve around executive session. So if somebody wants to schedule an executive session and review that with the chief, I'll be more than glad
And I gotta voice the same thing. Same. So you tell me what you would like to do, Sheila.
I want to have this discussion, wherever it needs to be had.
Then it's good, then we'll have to do it in an executive session.
Fine.
Also be it.
And I will put on public record that I can think of nothing in executive session that would have prevented me from making this motion and voting for this recommended
But
position.
we're not doubting your vote, Sheila. You're doubting Mike's vote and my vote.
I'm doubting a judgment call on executive sessions that I've been present for Officer Herzig's entire career here.
Okay? So we will set up an executive session.
Through the chair, if I may,
Yes, go ahead, Mike.
For that, whenever that gets set up, I would like to have available to us is the minutes of, I'll request it through the chair, for the minutes from the other executive session. And if we get the date, I'll look up the date, but I think that is important for us to have if we're going to have that type of conversation.
Yep. Sounds good to me.
And share that with the chief if he doesn't have it yet.
All right. So moving on to street signs request, Glenwood Road. Can you tell us anything about this, Mr. Keller?
Sure. I can, Skip. I did receive the request through my office. I did sign it and recommend to turn Glenwood and Campbell into a three-way stop sign intersection. I have not received any paperwork back yet that others approved it, but it did get my approval, just waiting for the recommendation of the others, including police. I don't know if Nick got that.
I got the paper.
Did he approve? You signed off on it?
No, I recommended against it.
Where was this? Campbell and what?
Glenwood.
Campbell and Glenwood.
Just a street sign? What is it?
Stop signs. Make it a three-way stop instead of just a stop sign coming off of Campbell onto Glenwood South.
Huh.
The chief responded, not recommended as far as the signs, but he did recommend that the line of sight should be corrected by tree removal, as there's been one crash there in the past 10 years, and it was a single car not related to the design of the intersection. Fire chief echoed the removal of trees would improve sight lines.
Trees on the little island or trees
Trees on the corner.
Trees on the northbound side.
on the northbound side okay, so people coming from Glenwood North heading south have an obstructed view, but you don't want them to have to stop because it's a continuation of Glenwood Road? Am I
I think it's the
here?
other way, Sheila, headed from the south to the
Oh.
north,
Correct.
Oh,
Yeah.
on the reverse curve.
from the south to the north, they're heading up. They
Where
might turn on Campbell, they might not, either,
The concern is that when they're heading south to north,
yep,
they make that left turn.
yep.
They don't have a good line of sight northbound on Glenwood. So as they're turning left, it could be a
Yeah.
car coming southbound that they didn't see in time.
I mean, I'm there all the time. I'm not seeing how tree removal is going to necessarily help in the absence of a stop sign coming from the north to south on Glenwood, which we don't have, which is what you don't want to see.
I'm not
Right.
totally opposed to it,
Yeah,
I drove through the intersection several times after I got the request,
right.
and it flows fine. I've never had a problem there, and accident statistics show that it's
Yeah.
not a problem intersection. So I didn't see a reason to change it.
I don't know why you'd want one going north. It's a nice, smooth transition there.
Going north
I
is where
suppose
the,
if you're bearing left,
if you're heading north on Glenwood, that's where the obstructions are of the trees. And it is,
If
it's a
you're
pretty
bearing
severe,
left.
it's a pretty severe curve.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a request that came through from a resident, for us to make that a three-way stop. So we've had problems there with trucks, we've had problems, close calls that obviously aren't reported. So that's why I approved or recommended a three-way stop.
The funny thing is, I mean, let's face it, when you're coming off of Campbell, turning right onto Glenwood, a lot of people are just doing a rolling stop. They really are,
Right.
because they think
You're
they
right.
see what's coming. And I think the other problem we have is the Glenwood traffic, and I mean, there's more houses almost every day. and the Campbell traffic, where there's more houses. We've seen such an increase in the past 15 years. There's definitely
The
more
stop
cars.
sign on Campbell going on to Glenwood South again,
Yeah,
5, 6 years ago, that was a yield sign.
yeah,
So
Right.
we changed that to a stop
which,
because of the close calls and because of the concerns, so.
yeah.
But they don't stop at the time.
They don't,
No,
you know,
they
agreed.
slow down maybe.
Yeah, slow down and then they go. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. And now there's a new resident there with kids, and there's more construction that's going to happen in that whole area. Well, maybe that's the question. So that whole corner pretty much has been now purchased for development, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm wondering if that's something that maybe we should revisit and work out when we start to see what's happening with the construction.
Yeah, you possibly could on the southbound side of Glenwood by giving that a better line of sight for the traffic and
Yeah.
expanding the roadway to go on the left side going out. But the right side is really mostly private property, the town trees.
Okay.
So there's not much you could do without, with the exception of cutting through their lawns to make it a better sight distance.
Is there a question down on the back, young
It
man?
wasn't a question, I was just going to say pretty much what Gary and the chief have said. And if I can, for a moment, Peter Crane, 6 Nights Way, sorry. If I can echo what Sheila said, I personally don't believe that cutting trees is the solution to the problem, because the problem is the bushes along the roadway. As you're taking that entire curve, as you approach that intersection from the south, it is not possible to see a car coming up, because when in the spring and summer, when all the leaves are out, you can't see the cars. You can see tall vehicles, but not a sedan. I personally have not been in any accidents, but I've been in a few close calls, and my wife, who works at Glenwood School, would rather take Wachusett 68 Glenwood Campbell to get home than to take Glenwood Campbell.
I would add to, and of course you guys kind of know where I stand on this. I hate the solution to many of our traffic problems being, let's make it easier for them to drive faster. So when we start cutting away things, we're making it easier for people to drive faster, when in fact I think we need to educate them to drive a lot more slowly. So I'm wondering, I think our Glenwood Campbell problem is exacerbated by what you just said. We've got Glenwood School, and so twice a day, every day, Monday through Friday, you're getting school commuter traffic, and man, it's bad. I think, I'm not saying that's all the traffic, and I'm not saying those are the only people and the only perpetrators, that's the wrong word. But I do think that's, certainly affecting it. So I'm wondering, with your big giant new staff, is that another new area that we maybe see if we can affect some change and scare people a little straight over there?
We hit that area on occasion.
Yeah.
Especially right around the rail trail.
Yeah. And it's a tough spot, I know, because you don't have a lot of places to really stake out.
Right.
Again, I'm using a lot of police jargon, not really appropriately, but anyway.
I'm not totally opposed to it. I was just of the logic, if it's not broken, you don't need to fix it.
I think it's a little broken.
But the stop signs would slow down traffic.
Yeah.
So we need a motion to either install or not install a stop sign.
You live on the road, what do you think?
The request is for two new stop signs.
I don't have a problem, and I come up and down the road 100 times a day.
Yeah. Up and down Glenwood, you're always going up and down. You're never
Yep.
turning left or right.
Well,
So
once in a while I go down toward my hands and down that way, but that's just, you don't have to come out and make a
Right,
round.
right.
You got the tight turn.
Now I'm doing the easier turn, Campbell onto Glenwood South, and I don't have issues, but I see the issues, because every once in a while you'll see people doing some quick maneuvering. I have that easy turn that used to be the yield. I don't know.
There doesn't have to be stop signs either. If you want on a trial basis, I can install some dangerous intersection signs. If you want to see how that area develops in
But
the future.
that all costs money, don't it, Gary?
Well, so do stop signs.
Okay, but in fairness about the money, we have installed slow signs in closed
Yes, I know.
development
Yes.
neighborhoods, where the only people who are a problem, or the people who live in the neighborhood. This, to me, seems like a location that makes sense to do something. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's a good first step, and then we go the next route with the projects that'll be going on.
They're
And
saying dangerous intersection or three-way intersection. Is there any signage there already that does that?
No,
no, just that one stop sign.
there's two or three stop signs. Two
There's
stop signs.
one, Campbell to Glenwood.
And
It's actually one on each side of the Y.
All right.
yes,
But it's only for Campbell.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a stop for Campbell, it's not a stop for
Yeah.
Glenwood.
Mr. Williams.
Dick Williams, what's the speed limit on Glenwood through that area?
30.
25.
That's 25 right around the
That's
corner?
25.
As you're going up the hill, the 25 sign is posted.
Okay. And coming the other way is
That area is 25 both ways.
Same.
both ways, okay. I think if you travel 25 should be okay.
Yeah,
You would think.
You would think 25. Yeah, I like dangerous intersection and maybe a little education, a little start there, see if it gets us anywhere.
Joe, want to
Can I
make
make
a
a
motion?
motion for that? I'll make a motion for some dangerous intersection signs.
How many?
2, Glenwood North,
Two.
Glenwood South.
Okay.
With just a sort of asterisk notation that the police department's going to address the intersection as an area of concern.
Okay.
Do I have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. What did I do with it? Lost it. Old business. Do you got your agreements there, Margaret?
Yes. The board has all 4 of the recent fully integrated agreements. You approved all 4 MOAs. You've got the copies of the MOAs with you, and all we've done is we've just inserted all the changes from the MOAs into these agreements, so they need the board's signatures now. So we've got police, dispatch, fire, and town administrator.
So Margaret, just to clarify, when we talk about these,
Yes.
talk about these being integrated,
Yes.
it's not that the language, the general language has been codified to be exactly the same in each.
No, no, no.
Okay.
It just means that the, all the agreements from the MOAs have been incorporated into the full agreements.
Okay. Do you need a motion as we sign it? I'll make a motion to sign the integrated agreements for dispatch, police, fire, and town administrator contracts.
All in favor?
Aye.
2 on each.
I want to find one there. Okay.
There's only one.
Thank you.
Only one?
There's only one of these.
Oops, there's one. Oh, I skipped right over public comment. Oh, my God.
All right.
If we're gonna go back to it before we go to the next thing on our old business. Please. State your name and
Steve Sherman, Paddock Road. This is public comment, so these opinions are mine. I came here with one opinion to express, and I actually have two now. Many years ago, the select board was made up of 3 people. We now have one of the select board that's stepped down, and I understand there's at least one of you that's considering not running for office the next time. And I'm just wondering if now might be the time to go back to a 3-member board, because the reason you went to 5 members was because of the workload. And now most of the workload is falling on our town administrator, who I think does a great job.
Thank you.
that should be done by town vote, doesn't it?
Yeah, it would have to be, yeah.
We'd have to put it in the town warrant and have it voted on by the town.
I realize that you just can't do it, but it's just a thought.
So
But
I think you know that Skip and I came on just as the board was being enlarged. And one of the reasons that was presented certainly was workload, and it's true. There was a lot of work going on. I mean, contracts alone. I would personally not be in favor of bringing that board number down.
Okay.
I think
I'm just,
so bear in mind, when you're saying 2 to 1 for every single vote, it's the difference of one person going either way, back and forth for issues. And for me, it gets back to the complexity of the town. The town is bigger, the town has become more complex. And I think having that larger number that you now see in the votes, when something is unanimous with 5, it means more than unanimous with 3, or God forbid, a split. You never like to see a split vote on certain big decisions, right? But that clarity of a bigger number, I think that means something in a bigger town.
that's just my opinion. I mean,
Yeah. No, I
I've
get
been around
it.
a while and seen the 3-member board work fine. I've also seen the 5-member board work fine. But I also see one person doing 80% of the work now.
Yeah, a 3-member board working fine. I mean, all of that is sort of on the surface, right? When you start talking, and again, here's another situation that's gotten so different. When you talk about open meeting laws and violations with ethics, it's so easy to walk a fine line when you're down to 3 people, because only 2 of you meeting together anywhere could be talking about anything and could be in violation. So for me, that there's another, maybe there's another thing there, that's that safety of having a larger number.
Okay. It's,
Just my opinion. Just responding.
my
I
opinion.
get where you were coming from.
okay. And the other thing I wanted to say, and I'm probably in way over my head, but I'm extremely disappointed and disheartened that this board would not take the advice of the police chief and let him run his own department. What happened here? I'm sitting here looking at what appears to me that somebody just got blindsided here.
No.
I mean, does that lady, that officer have a lot of skeletons in her closet or something? I mean, gosh.
It's no, it's not,
That w-
that's gotta be, no.
Skip,
Yes,
the way that the gentleman is portraying that, the police chief was informed prior to tonight's meeting of at least my concerns, as well as I believe you had a conversation with him as well.
Yes.
So he was not blindsided, and he was well informed prior to this evening.
Okay. It's not the way it looked to me, but again,
No,
that's my
but-
opinion.
Well, again, I stated that, I didn't state that during the vote, but I did state it afterwards when Sheila asked for executive session, that I had a good conversation with the chief on Friday for almost 35 minutes, 40 minutes, and I thought it was a productive meeting. But he's welcome to pursue what he initiated.
Okay.
And to Sheila's point, if there is warranted for executive session for it, and legal counsel advises that we can do that, I'll be more than glad to participate.
And that's the way we're gonna head with it, Mike.
Thank you.
Well, first we have to clear it through council to see if that's something that we're allowed to do.
Yep.
I would recommend that we ask that question.
Yeah, we shall do that. Ask the question to make sure we're not stepping on the wrong feet.
Correct.
Dick Williams, Overlook Road. First comment. I gave Abby a handout of Governor Baker, and I want you people, hopefully, I don't know if you have it with you, to pass it down, so.
I have the summary too. Oops, where is it?
Just, he's looking for 130,000 homes in Massachusetts. Like I have told you before, get ready for zoning changes that could be happening here. Next week, there is a meeting in Central Mass. They're bringing in a couple of people to talk about that. And unfortunately, that night I have DCR, Ware River. I've got some problems on that. I wanted to be with that, but I may have to cancel out and go to this one because I think it's very important. And because I'll tell you one thing, to handle increase in houses in here, our infrastructure, I don't know if it can handle how many more in town, houses, and the way they're gonna zone it and everything else that I've been hearing, it's gonna be, it'll be a heavy road to handle here.
So what you would like is some sort of letter from this board telling them to hands off, we want to maintain our own town?
Well,
Well,
so, Dick has a very good point. There are towns that are not dealing with the development rates that Rutland is. I mean, the town of Leicester, I think, had one building permit all of last year. So we're quite on the opposite end of the spectrum. It would be nice if the board and their housing, what do they call it, a housing choice initiative, if they could exempt those towns that are actually developing at a certain rate, which Rutland has been, and doing it in accordance with smart growth principles. I think then in that respect, I think they need to respect the fact that there are towns that are actually building homes.
I think the other interesting thing that I read in this, Dick, because I read this too, was the headline was a little bit misleading. It said cash for suburbs, right? But he's targeting towns under 7,000, some of whom, and I could see where he's headed. There are towns that set 3-acre lot minimums and things like that, and I can see them maybe targeting and going after those houses. I don't think he cares about affordable housing west of 495 because it's here. He doesn't need it there. And, I'm not, it's not that I'm not a fan of some of the things Baker has done, but this is kind of the way this administration has operated, where they offer grants for communities that are willing to apply. The problem with that consistently over and over, and we were one of those communities, is that the communities that need the help most don't have the wherewithal to apply for these grants and win them. And so the communities that are getting the money over and over and over are the ones that are already operating at a really high level. I think that's what's going to happen here too. That's very unfortunate. Looking at the map and the list of the towns under 7,000,
They're going to be awarded capital grants in order to improve their infrastructure or build infrastructure to support additional housing, and that's, those grants aren't going to go very far as new infrastructure
the
development.
way I look at it, I mean, our infrastructure is quite a bit of it's old. And you start putting more houses in it, and, who's gonna pick that up,
No.
DCI is supposed to have been, a couple of years ago, I think, or somebody had mentioned, worked on the line out here and still haven't done it, who knows when they're gonna do it. So be in mind that this could be coming down the pike, and
Literally.
you better believe it.
Yeah.
Everything west of 495.
Yeah.
So anyways, keep that in mind. Number 2 that I have here, I don't know.
Wait a minute, Richard. Did you,
No, I thought he was done.
oh, all right.
Excuse me. I got a couple.
My fault.
He has a list. Don't you see his paper?
Couldn't see from this angle.
I've got your list here. What's next?
Well, I was gonna do the Ag Commission, and this is a review of your rental land. I don't know, normally, you put it up for a couple of years, is it? For the hand and the.
5 years.
5 years, and that's still a ways out on that.
Yeah, next year.
Next year. And that's one of the things I'd like the Ag Commission to be involved in, a review of the rental land. But to me, I had mentioned to Abby this morning, to me, one of the bigger things is the maintenance of the fields that are out there. You know, the trees are growing in. You know, I went up and tried to cut back one of them, and I mean, I had all I could do, you know, anywhere from 10, 12 feet, 15 feet back, and some of them, you know, it's a lot that's growing in on these things. And I feel, you know, that it should be our responsibility to try to keep these fields maintained as much as possible. And also, one of the things I would always want to know is, how's the soils? Are they tested? I'd like to know what, you know, what's going on with them. And I think that's something that the Ag Commission could probably help.
Can the Ag Commission write their own policy to be included in this?
I think that, I don't know what the Ag Commission's charge is, because the bylaw does not address the charge at all. So I think the Ag Commission, I would assume the Board of Selectmen set the charge. I don't know that the Ag Commission would have done it themselves, but I think that the charge can be amended to include something like that, to include reviews, to explore opportunities for increasing agricultural opportunities through use of unused town parcels, for example, things like that.
Yeah. Things are good. And I'm gonna only do one more tonight, and that's, did Dan ever set up an account for all those lots that money was gonna come in from the subdivisions?
There is an open space preservation fund. Those funds that are coming in from the open space subdivisions do not have to be segregated. They can go right into that open space. It's a dedicated open space preservation fund. So recently, we got payments for that Michael Drive, before the Michael Drive street acceptance. That money went into the open space preservation fund. Your other open space subdivisions, Bear Hill.
Bear Hill 2.
Bear Hill 2, yeah,
Hill.
that money, as each of those units are sold, should be, as each of those units are sold, that money would go into the Open Space Preservation Fund. So there is an account, yes.
There is one set up.
Yes, there is.
All right, that's good.
Yep.
Just gotta stay on top of it, that's.
Yeah, it really should. I mean, if the conditions say that the money should be paid upon the development or occupancy of each unit, they really should be billed on the occupancy of each unit. But that's hard to keep up with. So I think as the planning board catches those things, to bundle them and send an invoice to make sure that the town stays on it.
The rest I'll keep to myself for the time being.
Okay.
Oh,
Name and,
Jeff Stillings, 3 Lord Lane, and because this is a public comment, I'll just comment, not expecting a response. But I want to echo this gentleman's sentiments on the disappointment of not supporting our chief through the process, and it appeared that there was a process for the recommendation for the promotion. I'm not privy to matters that you're going to discuss in executive session. However, as a citizen, I would want to show support for the chief and his decision in running his own department. It did appear to me, as a citizen, that half of the board was surprised and the other half was not. And I would just caution or be concerned that we don't have a round robin type of situation that might conflict with the open meeting law. So that's my comment. Thank you.
so, no other public comment, so we'll go to, under old business, Main Street sewer.
As the board knows, there have been concerns about the construction of sewer on Main Street. The DPW superintendent and I, and the board, all have continued concerns. Gary, if you'd like to speak to your specific concerns and how you'd like to address them with the board within the next short period of time.
Well, I've been pretty vocal about my concerns about the Main Street sewer. I understand that there has been some testing going on of the sewer lines in the ground. There have been problems. My staff has reported, folks in the department have reported to me. Have not seen them, but they have been reported to me, and I have not, as of this date, received a report from Yankee Engineering or Yankee Testing for the four sewer main. So until I have that, I can't tell you what, nor do I care to share what the problems are or those that I have heard about. Obviously, everybody knows that the Main Street crossing is a concern of mine, and where we go with that and how we get there is going to take some doing. I've had conversations with MassDOT and others, so I'm not really able to report on the outcome of that as of this date. But I would like and I would hope that it can be put on for the next Selectmen's meeting agenda to discuss where I feel we should go in cooperation with MassDOT on the Main Street crossing.
And take any actions necessary. We've also had conversations, as the board knows, with legal on this.
It'll be on the agenda, Gary, won't it? Abby?
Other than that, you see I have nothing on the agenda for items. We're kind of busy last week, so I didn't turn them into Abby, and she's already punished me for that. But we have been busy. I do have 3 contractors on the payroll, so to speak, that I have had to use to plow. We have 2 openings still, and I do not have any qualified candidates as of yet for those jobs. So right now we're covered. So we've got the 3 contractors and myself and the staff. Obviously, I still down two people permanently and 1 person out for the better part of the winter with rotator cuff surgery. So we've got another storm coming. As you can see, the condition of the road, you'll see the white film on it, and that is strictly because obviously we're trying to stay away from sand for the most part and go to all salt. But because of the icy conditions, sand, put a little bit of grit down, but you got to get some salt on top of ice to kind of break it up. The temperatures are extremely cold. Salt doesn't always work, so that's why we had to use a little bit more sand. If you get below 15, 17 degrees, salt is really kind of a waste of money. So we mix it with sand, both for grit and to heat it up a little bit, and use liquid cal when we have to. So very expensive storms. The guys have been out virtually around the clock. They were out most of this past weekend and all of the weekend prior to, that being Christmas weekend. Very expensive. Equipment's running very well. Our stocks are full, so we're ready for Thursday, which the latest
How's your
forecast
budget
is
faring? Are you still working on your supply in the salt shed, or have you had to get additional deliveries yet?
We've got additional deliveries, and it was pretty much the same. We ordered 500 additional ton from the last time we had a meeting. We are still under our 154.5. But as I said at last meeting, we were 30% of our budget for snow and ice has been used up. So if we continue to go like we are so far, it'll be gone probably mid-February. Maybe sooner. It just depends.
Yeah, you keep getting storms on weekends and holidays, and that adds up.
Well,
Yep.
and storms that are
And
not
night.
and storms that are not states of emergency. They're just
Yes.
long and extended
Yep.
and expensive.
Yeah,
Yep.
they are. Just give me, like you say, give me 2 feet of snow, and I'd be as happy as a pig in
Right.
poop.
Well, pigs aren't happy in poop,
They're
Gary.
not, okay, so. Poor choice of word, but I guess I should use that one. So, the guys are holding out good. They're doing a great job. Everybody, the whole staff down there, I have no complaints, really. So, without them, we're sunk. And the office folks. I mean, the office folks are the ones that keep the whip cracking on me anyway. And I find them having to remind me of all the things that have to be done, and they do that well. I do have the whip marks to show, to prove it. So you know.
There's like a weird. Let's move away from that. The buildings, the town buildings. we're noticing, or I've been noticing, just people commenting, even in the newer houses, they're starting to see pipes freeze. And I think we have another cold snap coming this weekend. Do we have any buildings of concern? I don't know what we could do.
No, there's not much we can do. We've, actually, the biggest problem I've had is with the new heating system through the energy conservation at the DPW. The rest of the buildings, we did have a problem with the boiler system at Town Hall, but that's been fixed. New controls have been put on. So we've been very lucky. We have
Really?
not had any frozen pipes. And I don't want to talk about things that could happen because I don't want those things to happen.
I guess I'm thinking community center. It seems to me that that building is ripe for something bad happening to it. And I
That
don't,
furnace
Right?
is hanging on, I don't
Okay.
know how. I don't know how that
it's just,
furnace.
that building is just such a joke.
That's gonna need
So,
work.
so I mean, if it came to, Nancy Nichols even leaving the faucets on to run cold, trickle down so the pipes don't burst. I don't know. I don't know if there's
Yeah,
anything.
that stayed, during the cold snap last week, the hottest we could get that building was 63 degrees. And that's with 2 furnaces at full bore. And that's just poor construction. That's 2x4 construction that was put together, slapped together years ago. And it's just, it's horrendous. We all know that. There's no doubt about it.
Okay.
So all we can do is keep them running and try to upgrade as the money comes.
So, thank you to all your dedicated employees,
Oh my God.
police and fire, who were on duty on Christmas morning,
Yeah.
rather than spending time with their families. So that's,
Yes, and
It's a big deal.
I'll thank them. It was important. I mean, everybody was here. I mean, I was very happy with the department, because there wasn't one that was gone, that gave up their complete holiday weekend, if you will, to take care of the town. And they did a great job, and my hat's off to them. There's no doubt about it. As well as police and fire, because seems like we're chasing each other around during these storms, but we've got full communication. I think everybody cooperates and we get the job done.
Mr. Sherman.
Through the chair, I have a question for Mr. Kelleher. I was traveling a couple of states west of here recently, and they're driving around with big tanker trucks, and it looks like the old trucks that spread oil.
Fertilizer trucks, yeah.
And they're spreading down the liquid on the road, pre-treating the roads. Is that anything that obviously it works, but is that anything that we could use?
We could certainly use it. You'll see the state uses it here. 122A, 122, they're all pre-treated with liquid cal.
I think so.
It's very effective. You only need 8 gallons to the mile. So it's very effective. I have used it before. Unfortunately, we don't have the equipment to use it here. So it's a tremendous expense. That stuff right now is going for about 99 cents a gallon. But you go out and you treat the whole town ahead of time, 12 to 16 hours before the storm, and it will save you 8 to 12 hours after the snow starts. But it's very expensive. It's, when you have to have the tankers, you gotta have the bars, the spray bars. It's a very expensive proposition. Storage.
it's an organic based. Is that beet juice? Is that the sugar beet juice or whatever you call it?
No, I don't know. I don't really believe in that stuff. It's straight. It's either liquid cal or liquid mag.
Okay.
Straight liquid. No fertilizer about
So
it.
that could be an agriculture niche in Rutland, right?
Yeah, we don't want that stuff.
Beet juice, some sort of organic something.
So, can be done, but it's very expensive. So that's all I can say about it.
Through the chair,
Yes.
any problems with diesel fuel in your equipment?
We had, no. We did have problems with filters.
Yeah.
Now, we get, especially in this cold weather, we do get winter blend diesel,
Oh, yeah.
as you're aware. But to help that, we do put an additive in it, depending on how many gallons we get, so we put the additive in. We haven't had problems in the trucks. The trucks are all parked inside, as you know, but we did have problems with filters, so we had to order special filters that are supposed to keep that gelling agent out of getting through the system into the trucks. So far, so good. And it's been cold. We've had tough problems in the past, but so far this year's been okay.
Very good.
But I have heard of whole towns up north that have shut down operation because they just cannot get their equipment running. School buses today were stuck on the road because of gelled fuel. So far so good. I hope you're not gonna make us have bad luck now, because you had to bring it up.
Sorry.
You've had your chance at public comment, so if there's anything else, it's just,
But I'll try to help you out.
I know you
Doing
will.
some plowing.
I
I'll try to
know
help
you
out.
will, I know. But that's all, I really don't have many more updates, so if there's any, unless there's questions, I'll just retire, sit down to my seat.
No comments, from anybody, questions from the board?
Great.
Thank you, Gary. Let's go to Margaret.
The board has, well, at the bottom of the agenda, there's the listing of the joint budget meetings coming up, beginning next Thursday, January 11th. All departments will be meeting with the Finance Committee and members of the Board of Selectmen, if you're able to attend, to talk about their budget requests for FY19. This is a reminder to residents and others that the town's website, on the homepage, there's a link on the left that says Contact Us. That's where residents and others can submit public comments to the town. The clerk's office receives those and distributes them to the appropriate departments. So that's where you'd put your public comments if you'd like to submit comments to the town. There's also another link on the left-hand side of the town's homepage called, I think it's called Subscribe to News, and it's where a person can actually subscribe to have email alerts sent to them on news, events, emergency alerts, and things like that. So just to let people know those resources exist. That's all I really have, working on budget preparation at this point. And as I've said before, and I'll say it over and over again, this town is long overdue for a professional planner. The town lacks expert planning capacity to be able to tackle the complex development challenges it faces, and I am going to do my part to defend the addition of a full-time planner, a planner/community development coordinator that would work at least 37 and a half hours a week to help with the current development challenges, long-range planning, and economic development initiatives. So I'm going to continue to defend that. We need it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Bye, Mike. Oh, you already hung up.
Yep.